Hello there, WeirdShady is my name, and what I'ma be talking about is all for me to blame on the fact that I love pirates, so let's go! Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is the best pirate game ever made. Believe me, I have checked. And it spends half of its time pretending it's still about assassins.
Keep talking.
This man couldn't care less about the Creed, and this refreshing take on the franchise is exactly why this game worked so well. In 2013, Ubisoft dropped the most ambitious open-world pirate game tucked neatly inside of an Assassin's Creed game. If there was anyone that could make the ultimate pirate game at the time of 2013, it was Ubisoft. This was long before they turned more sour than EA ever could, but that's not the point of this video. In Black Flag, you play as Edward Kenway, a previous Welsh farmer that wants more from life. Therefore, he starts to hang around at the Pirates of the Caribbean theme park ride. Whee! Pirate theme park! He also joins the Assassins by accident, almost. But what's really interesting is that Edward cares more about rum and riches than he does ideology or righteous path, and somehow stumbles into a surprisingly emotional story about regret, legacy, and freedom. And I'm not only talking about open world freedom, but thematic freedom. Black Flag respectfully ditches rooftops for rigging and trades stealth for full-on naval warfare. You're rewarded more for plundering Spanish galleons than tailing targets, and the game doesn't mind this either. It's like Ubisoft gave you the pirate game they secretly wanted to make since forever. If you're familiar with Assassin's Creed, you probably know that most AC protagonists are driven by either honor, faith, or revenge. But Edward, dear old Edward, only wants money, and that's about it. But weirdly enough, that's what makes his character arc hit so much harder. He starts out as a selfish, carefree person that wants nothing but booty. I mean booty. It's clear that you play as a pirate in a midlife crisis. Robert! But as the years and months go about its day, he finds himself truly lost. Not only has he lost his way, but he has in fact lost most of the people he once considered his closest of friends. After this discovery, he is possibly able to find something better. And that he does, with the assassins of all people. He originally doesn't believe in the Creed, as shown clearly in many of his actions during the story. He practically mocks it at times even, but after he stumbles and falls harder and harder and gets a massive reality check, he earns belief by the end. Edward learns the values of the Creed the hard way and becomes a better man for it.
I'm a changed man, Arthur.
I find it really interesting that we have, at this point in time of 2013, 5 Assassin's Creed games where the protagonists have been so open to joining the Creed without visible hesitation. And after so many games, we get to see a whole other path, where a character doesn't want to at first. That, my friends, shows guts from Ubisoft's side. During the game, Edward also learns that some of the people he considers his friends, Mary Read and Adewale, see the Creed as something worth following. Again, Edward himself doesn't buy into it, but he does respect when others do. Mary and Adewale's influence starts to shape him to be more open to it at the end of the game. Edward's journey shares quite a lot of similarities with Ezio Auditore da Firenze, the globally loved AC protagonist for the ages. Perhaps odd to call the anti-assassin and the prime assassin quite similar, but bear with me please. Both Edward and Ezio started out selfish but charming, and they didn't really know what to do properly. They both ended up at similar places as well. But the journey itself is different, in the way that Ezio found meaning and purpose through family, but Edward found it through all the loss and guilt he managed to endure. It's safe to say that the soundtrack ticks the boxes for what an epic pirate-themed game should be. Composer Brian Tyler indulges himself with the sounds and soul of what truly makes an adventurous journey complete. Tyler didn't just make a video game soundtrack. He made an odyssey that contains freedom, regret, and saltwater ghosts. It could be that I've been listening too much to Epic the Musical, by the way, but nevertheless, Black Flag's music is too damn good. I would even say that Brian Tyler can respectfully so rival Hans Zimmer to a Sea Dog-styled composing match.
You're a marooned, duck-billed cabin boy.
Ha! You swear like a child. You're a mumbling, puss-faced whale fart.
The show stealer here is, of course, the sea shanties. I mean, there's something about the feeling where you set wind to the open sea and witness not even one thing that reminisces land. The group of rowdy sailors you call a crew starts to sing. It's one of those games where the silence often says more than the bombastic bangers that the composer has molded for the soundtrack. When you have heard the wind mixed with half-sour vocals aboard a drifting ship,
then you have my permission to die.
That's when you realize that these shanties are filled with soul. The soul of a bunch of saddened and partially drunken adult choir boys that only wants to live their best lives. And I think that's beautiful. When you think about it, it's not only the music and singing drunkards that can bring immersion into this game. The sea itself is a character, you could say. During the story of Black Flag, you meet new characters here and there. Their alignments with each other shifts more often than the waves themselves. Literally. Because the sea is Edward's most consistent relationship throughout. It helps him gather wealth, it isolates him from his enemies, and sequentially teaches him humility for when he needs it the most. Is my autism showing yet? I think so. I can go on and on and on about the sea and the ocean and ships and such, simply because I enjoy it so much. I mean, come on you guys! If you think about it, the sea in Black Flag is an unpredictable and dangerous place. It's not as cozy and playful as it is in Sea of Thieves, where it pretends to be your friend and your biggest troll. One moment the sea carries you to a beautiful sunset, but throws a random kraken at you.
I will take his settled.
Or some restless online players that want to wreak havoc upon your day.
We are from Italy. You?
France!
Or like in Legends of Zelda Wind Waker, where the sea wants to show you everything it has to offer. But it never punishes or gives you a hard time. When a storm approaches, it wants to test you, but not break you. So you could say that in Sea of Thieves, the sea laughs with you. In the Wind Waker, the sea sings to you. But in Black Flag, the sea doesn't care about you. It doesn't even speak. It listens. And it watches. Assassin's Creed Black Flag has some nerve doing things it does. You know what I mean? Well, for one, to shove a pirate game into an AC game can be seen as heresy. Or was it blasphemy? Either way, the way it happened is strange. Here we have a slightly pasty dude that kills an assassin, steals and wears his clothing, and then wears them while doing pirate stuff, only to care about the assassin order 30 plus hours later? Makes no sense. Or it shouldn't, at least. The fact is, it works, because it frees the story to do one important thing. Character development. Personal growth, for crying out loud. And Edward not caring about the creed until he finally does makes you care even more at the end as well.
He's out at the end gonna die!
Another thing that rubs me the wrong way, but in a good way, is that grammatically correct even? The way that the ship has more character development than many of the characters in the game is also a thing. The gameplay development was also more focused on the ship rather than on land, since the melee combat is lacking somewhat and is janky from time to time. But what isn't janky is the broadside cannons and the sea shanties.
Yeah!
I mean, all of this is so good in Black Flag that they didn't even manage to improve anything in Skull and Bones. It's actually worse, by the way. But in general, many things to go through, but I choose not to. The fact is, everything feels off. It feels wrong, but that's why it works so well. For all that's worth of sea battles and booty, Black Flag ends on a quiet, emotional note, with Edward meeting his daughter for the first time, while Anne Bonny is singing my all-time favorite, The Parting Glass. The ending is so beautiful because Edward finds true meaning for the first time in a very, very long time. And he realizes that everything he lost by chasing a lie. The lie is not about becoming an assassin, or sailing ships, or digging up riches, or demanding glory upon the seven seas. It's about becoming a better man. It's about becoming a father.
I'm gonna be a dad.
And that's a legacy worth remembering. It's funny, you know. You start the game by consuming the world of Black Flag, a place where the possibilities are nearly endless, where the goal is to incarnate chaos in a way. And still, the game ends with Edward leaving the setting altogether, in search for a better future. Because these islands, these waves, this withering world of air quote endless opportunities and legacy has absolutely no romance of riches left to offer him. You know, there is some mighty irony walking around here though. And what is Black Flag's biggest irony? The answer is, the less it tries to be an Assassin's Creed game, the more it becomes one. How, you might ask? Because it's about freedom versus order, temptation versus discipline, power versus meaning. Edward started out not believing in the Creed, but his whole journey embodies what the Creed stands for more than most stories that other AC titles do. To be fair, Black Flag is a beautiful contradiction. It's an Assassin's Creed game that would rather be a pirate sandbox, a sea salt water slurping sailor's playground for the ages. Yet, somehow, it ends up fairly more memorable than most entries of the series, before or after. And maybe that's the point. Freedom, like the sea, doesn't follow rules, even the ones in your title. That's all I had for today. Thank you for joining me on this trip through a great story. Tell me what your favorite pirate game is, because it's time to pour one out for the golden age of piracy. Fare thee well for now.